people, their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more complaining. People, their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more.
I got up this morning and I checked the system that I use to do the jump starts, and I realized that there was no overlay, no little thing that goes up here in the corner. And what that always means is that I had written ahead the X number of jump starts and had not planned anything for today. So Miroslav, my producer, had nothing to create. And I got up this morning and I thought to myself, that means that I have absolutely, literally no idea what I'm going to talk about today. And I had no idea going forward. And I love the fact that I wouldn't call it hitting a wall. It's not a hitting a wall, and it's not running out of material. Someone used to ask me when I was a minister in a church, because I spoke on Sundays for 20 years, okay? They would say, what are you going to do when you run out of things to talk about? And I said, I'm going to talk about having run out of things to talk about. I think because I've always approached this in a non-resistant way, ideas have come to me. And I'm super excited because now I have what I consider to be another series, and I'm calling it Great Advice. Because I was thinking about what is some of the very best advice I've ever heard? And I'm not talking about, things my mom said, bromides like that, or my dad said, all those things, my Uncle Joe, whatever. No, I'm talking about universally around the world. What are some of the most important things? And I decided that I want to just take a shot at doing like this 5-part series. So I went from 0 to having more ideas that I can really cover in the next 5 days. And that is so exciting for me. And one of the ones that we're going to talk about is meaning. And the meaning of my life is to be a teacher. It's to teach you to have a better life. And I just so love that. So today we're going to jump right into, and I want to tell you something, share with you something. And if you've got a pen and paper, you're going to want to write this down. And if not, you're going to want to watch it again later. By the way, I want to announce that the podcast version, that's just the audio version of our jump starts, have reached 50,000 downloads. That's awesome. And we've got almost 3,000 followers on YouTube, which is fairly significant. And that happens because you all share these ideas with other people. So thank you. I want to share with you today what's called S.T.O.P, S-T-O-P. The purpose of S.T.O.P is to lower your stress. When you are in a stressful situation, now this is from Dialectical Behavior Therapy, which we touched on, which we sprung from after we talked about surviving abuse or thriving after abuse. So this is where we're all leading in this direction, right? Moving in this current flow. And I love this skill. I'm going to share with you like the greatest, I think, pieces of advice from DBT, from AA, from religion, etc., over the next several days. And this one today is, we all talk about stress. Stress is the #1 killer. 3/4 of people are going to doctors because of stress. Stress is killing people. Stress is making people stay crazy in their heads. Stress is causing people to have upset stomachs. The #1 thing, antacids. I forget if it's antacids or antidepressants. They're always going back and forth as to which, and they're both from stress. So universally, you can do a lot of things to lower stress, and we talked about that: exercise, meditation. But the other thing that I want to give you is this tool, and I got this from the Dialectical Behavior Therapy workbook right here by Marsha Linehan, the founder of Dialectical Behavior Therapy. It's funny, if somebody came in and looked at all my books and everything and all my various workbooks, they'd think I was a therapist, because I was thinking about that this morning. I'm all about change, all right? Changing our lives to improve our lives, taking control of the change that's inevitable in our lives. And change is found at the corner. How did I put it? Yeah, it's found at the corner of psychology and spirituality, in my opinion. The change store, where we change, can be found at the corner of psychology and spirituality. So that's why I have so many of these books, and I'm going to share with you today this idea called STOP, S-T-O-P, Stress Tolerance Handout number 4. And the idea is when something negative happens in your life, all right, I don't want to talk about the windows here in my condo. I just have decided to bless them and give them no energy, the situation and everything like that. So I'm not going to use that as an example. Let's say that you go to a store and you get poor treatment, which has not happened to me in a very, very long time. But let's say you go and the salesperson is just downright rude and dismissive. Well, your ego is going to want to rise up because your ego does not want to be dismissed or diminished. It absolutely is so committed to that. And so it's going to possibly rise up. So you're going to go either into fight mode or flight mode. You're either going to elevate your tone of voice or your aggression, and then you're going to shrink and you're going to flee, and you're going to feel bad for having not spoken up for yourself. With this distress tolerance tool, what you want to do is first, it's S-T-O-P, all right? It stands for, I'm going to look down, stop, I'll explain it in a minute. Stop, take a step back, observe, and proceed mindfully. Let me say that again. Stop, take a step back, observe, proceed mindfully. One more time. Stop, take a step back, observe, proceed mindfully. Now, yes, it is kind of a little confusing in my mind that the acronym STOP, the first S is stop, but it's also easy to remember. And what that means is freeze. When we talk about fight or flight mode, we forget that there's a third one. That is freeze. Absolutely freeze. Freeze in that moment. Now, why do we freeze in that moment? If our kid says something to us, or a coworker, or a spouse that we find upsetting, one of the worst things we can do is to make it worse. So the idea is to become a statue. Freeze. Just freeze. Because even the look on your face can upset the other person. Freeze for a second. And then mentally and or physically, there's nothing wrong with physically, take a step back. Just withdraw a little bit. Just withdraw. Just, if your energy is in this close, back it up from your perspective just this far. And then the O in STOP stands for observe. Observe what's going on. More importantly, observe what is happening in your body. Let me say that again. Observe what is happening in your body. Because when we get upset, our bodies and our minds are so linked that we get elevated and the tension gets in our bodies. And then we become, I want you to think of a teeter-totter, right? Your mind gets upset, your body matches it. Your mind gets upset, your body matches it. So it's not exactly a teeter-totter, it's more like a jack handle, all right? So, or your body gets upset and your mind matches it. When you allow your body to, oh my God, am I in danger? Your mind looks around and goes, yes, I probably am. Why am I in danger? I don't know, but I'm ready. And so you get elevated. And once we get elevated in a situation, it's very difficult to control ourselves and to react with calmness and solemnity such that we don't escalate it. You know, I don't know about you. I would love to know how to never create a difficult conversation or experience a difficult conversation or situation. But more than that, I would love to never, ever make one worse. And it's not for want of trying. I've always tried to do my best, and so have you. And so one of the things we can do is to observe what is happening in our bodies. Observe what is happening in our bodies. And if we can, take a breath or two. When something happens, I mean, short of if you see a person hitting a dog and you want to run over, or a child or whatever, you usually have a moment, and we don't want to acknowledge it, but we have a moment. And this is what I think it was Maxwell Maltz in logotherapy talks about, that we have this gap that we don't realize, that we need to take a moment to observe. And then the P stands for proceed mindfully. Now, what does that mean? It means don't proceed emotionally. It means proceed mindfully. And what are you mindful of? Simply put, you are mindful of your goals. Da-da-da. What does that mean? It means that if you, like, for example, if I work with my daughter, if we start to get a little, it usually starts with one of us just not understanding the other one and running off like we do. And my goal is to work with my daughter for the rest of my life, pass on what it is I have created to her, to enjoy the process and to live in harmony, such that she wants to spend her non-work time with me as much as she does working with me. And she does. And it's working. And so that causes me to regulate how I approach what I say to her. I treat her as the precious person she is to me. I struggled with that in the past, don't get me wrong. But I've so become mindful of that now. So let me give you this one more time. S-T-O-P, stop. The letter S in stop means stop. Whatever's going on, for your part, stop. And it doesn't mean going, to hell with you and walking away. It means freeze. And I'll add, put a half smile in. It'll make you feel better. It will make the other person feel better. You know, the person I think about who seems to be very cool under pressure in the movie roles he plays, for the most part, is George Clooney. And what happens when somebody upsets George Clooney? He tends to put a little smile on his face. Take a break. Try that. Stop. Put a little smile on your face. The next T is take a step back. Either step back physically or step back mentally. Just whoa, ho, 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 ho. Okay, here, even no matter how the other person's acting or reacting, take a step back. Then the O stands for observe. Observe how you're feeling in your body. Breathe. And then and observe the situation. Is this how you really want this to go? And finally, the P is proceed mindful of your goals. What are your overall goals? Is one of your goals to never lose your stuff and yell at a clerk or a person on the highway or whatever? Those are good goals for yourself. And if that's one of your goals, then that's how you proceed mindfully. All right? S-T-O-P. Stop. Stop. Take a step back, observe, and proceed mindfully. Try it today. I want you to find a reason today to try this. And if you would like, you don't have to have any particular mental disorder. It's just like everyone would benefit from going through the 12 steps of AA enormously, whether or not you have any sort of substance issue. But this book is amazing. And if you want to do some worksheets, it's kind of interesting what it will reveal for you. Awesome. Everybody, thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to take a look at your comments. Let me see if I can go back to where we were. And this is your opportunity to press share if you haven't already. Share and type the word shared in. If you're here for the first time, let us know. I always like to say hello. Mary says, Willow is an amazing woman. She turned me on to this program, and I'm grateful for it. Well, Mary, we're glad to be here. You speak with the voice of the source. Thank you. David, Willow says, God trip is when you are led by the Spirit. I like that. That's good. Kindness is the best gift you can give one another. Congratulations on the 50,000 podcast downloads. Isn't that awesome? David, that is so cool. I was diagnosed with chronic stress syndrome during my divorce a couple of years ago, and I didn't realize it was a disorder. Again, I'm going to recommend this book, Marsha Linehan, the DBT workbook, because it is good for people with substance abuse issues. It is good for people with suicide ideation. It's good for people who cut themselves. It's good for people who have trouble regulating their emotions. That's the really big thing. In other words, be the witness. Yes, David, that is exactly right. The be and observe is for breathing. Very good. We're going to extrapolate this down as far as we can. Ed says, sounds like one step of stop requires gracefulness. Yes, I would agree, absolutely. Rest and stop. Put them both on paper with pen from your JumpStart, wound up with one after the other. Yeah. Imagine if there was a class in kindergarten, where they needed, that taught children how to handle being stressed. He took your toy? Well, let's sit down and get you to take 10 deep breaths and figure out how you might respond. Wouldn't that be awesome? We're not taught this, y'all. We're not taught this. Hey, Tanya, my mind is so impulsive, it is hard to just stop. Okay, that's a great comment. And I want to say something, and that is that nothing I ever share with you in these JumpStarts is easy. Nothing. Zig Ziglar said, if you're easy on yourself, life will be hard on you. If you're hard on yourself, life will be easy on you. You've got to choose that difficult path. And I'm not saying you're not at all, Tanya. I appreciate your honesty. You gave me a chance to say that what it is I'm recommending is not easy. To say, oh, hold it, stop. Willow says shared. Greg says shared. We'll practice S.T.O.P, says Mary. Great. And my complaint-free bracelet challenge too. Great. By the way, if you haven't taken the complaint-free challenge, it's changed the lives of 14 million people around the world. Go to acomplaintfreeworld.org. That is acomplaintfreeworld.org. You can get a complaint-free banner and a bracelet rather, and you can also receive 9 instructional videos for free. All this is free. You just pay $1 for shipping and handling. Shared. Can you put a link to the book? No. Look it up. Go to Amazon. DBT skills training. Make sure you get the one from Marsha Linehan. It looks like line hand. DBT. Here, I can do this. It's training. Marsha Line hand. That's how I remember it. That woman's story is absolutely amazing. She was in an institution, kept trying to kill herself over and over, and she fought her way back to a life of happiness and meaning, and her reason for being, her raison d'etre, is to do that for other people. I have a book about this. Wonder if it's the same. May well be. Yeah, she's done tons of books. Yes, early education mind practice. Wouldn't that be great? The holy ones saying stop. So maybe the Holly's saying stop. Nah, probably not. That's good, David. That's funny. Laugh out loud, says Mary. There we go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. Listen, today, you know what I want you to do? That's my coffee maker, and I wish it would stop. And I want you to S.T.O.P. Stop. When something happens, you don't have to respond. You feel like you do because it's purely a habit. There are people in this world who don't do that. I told you once that when we did a series on Mr. Rogers, I studied Mr. Rogers for a very long time. You know what would happen if someone would argue with him on the set of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? or disagree, or it made him uncomfortable, he would simply go, uh-oh, and then he would walk away. It was a cue to him that he needed to stop, and things needed to stop, and he would take a step back, he would walk away. And then he would think about it, that's observing, and then he would come back and he would talk to the person. Now, how many arguments get started that way? Somewhere between 0 and none. So if it's good for Mr. Rogers, it's good enough for you too, so give it a try. Tomorrow we're going to be continuing this idea of great advice. Great advice that's out there changing people's lives. So we're going to look at a different system tomorrow, talk about their great advice. Be sure and join me 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And to those of you who watch me on replay, thank you so much. I do read and comment on your comments as well, and every one of your shares is equally valuable. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy today. Bye-bye.
No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No more complaining people. Their lives are changing. We're flying high, creating a complaint-free world. No